We're getting into the psychology of deception, from narcissists and manipulators to the silent bystanders who enable them. We'll unpack why we fall for lies, why society breeds more psychopaths than we think, and how your instinct might be sharper than you realize if you learn to trust them. Ooh, how's that one? That's our introduction for this afternoon. You're locked in listening to The Social Network with me, Brother Zahir, as well as the team here, Sister Rebecca, Brother Azim, and Brother Wasim. And we're going to take you up to 4:30 p.m. So we've got a nice little segment that's going to keep you entertained and enthralled. And we're joined here by life coach Sister Rabia Karvala, talking about this particular topic. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Rabia. How you doing?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, always alhamdulillah. All things good. Jummah
Absolutely. Mubarak. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jummah Mubarak to you as well. I'm trusting that you're having a great Friday.
Alhamdulillah, Friday.
Yay. 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 So now we're going to give them some food for thought this weekend. We don't want them to overthink. We want them to just realize.
Correct.
To open their eyes.
Absolutely.
There we go. Right. Liars, pants on fires.
Yes.
That is how the saying goes.
Mm-hmm.
Why this particular topic? Because I think in today's day and age, deception has become like a norm.
Correct.
Isn't it? I think from the news media to politicians' mouths, now to scammers and sweet talkers and narcissists and manipulators, and social media also coming to the front. There's so many factors that shows us that we're living in a world of deception, and it's brought about by people feeding into that deception as well. So what is a liar?
And sometimes,
where does it start?
You know what? Sometimes lies are just little white lies.
People say it starts off like that.
It's a snowball effect. Just like anything with consistency gains momentum, so does lying. And lying is sometimes not even intentional. You see, it's said that over 99%, that's nearly the entire world's population, wears some sort of a mask.
Yes.
Okay, so we all present a side of ourselves to the world. It would be impossible to present all of our sides in short periods of time. But
I think there's a Japanese proverb that says that everybody has three faces. One they show to the world, one they show to their family and friends, and one that they only truly know. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes,
but in today's day and age, there's hundreds of faces, isn't it?
Oh, today's day and age, there's hundreds of faces, and different faces for different people. And so one of the things that we do is to always ask ourselves, what is this person that I'm talking to wanting me to believe about them? How are they positioning themselves in my mind? And that's a really good way to start when you meet people. When you're making new friends, regardless of your age, if you're getting into new relationships, there's always this thing of putting your best foot forward. And
first impressions.
Yeah. And I always say, instead of putting your best foot, just put your foot forward. Just put your own foot forward. Because then they're going to get, in my case, they're going to get the quirky side. They're going to get the crazy side. They're going to get the serious side. They're going to get the business side, the whole fruit salad.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, you don't get the fruit salad. You get that very carefully curated image all the time. And that can be a problem when it comes to relationships, because you don't know, are you being lied to? And on the extreme of it, are you being cheated on in a relationship, for instance? Or has someone stolen from you? I mean, how many of us, let's face it, have domestic workers at home, helpers at home, employees in the workplace, and things go missing? And we think, it's just a pen. It's just a ruler. And when you look again, there's 10,000 Rand off the kitty. Now, how do you deal with that? And how do you find out, were they lying? So I moonlight also at a university, and we have similarity index inquiries.
Are you a student or a teacher?
No, I manage the teaching and learning for the entire university.
Oh, wow.
So I do various things for different clients, different companies. And in this case, we have always students that submit work that is made by AI, for example. But of course, they're submitting it as their own, sometimes intentionally, sometimes not intentionally. And this happens at every education level. So how do we find out, are they cheating? Because you can say, the similarity index shows that you've had X amount of similarity, 70% it looks like comes from the source, but you can't necessarily always prove it. No, a husband comes home or a wife comes home and they've spent too much money, unless they have spent it on the credit card, you can see what it's gone for. How do you know that has happened? Or in the worst case, if there's cheating, how do you pick it up? So there are some tips. There are definitely some tools.
Definitely some tools indeed. So what are the tools? How do you sort of pinpoint if you are being lied to? Because there's so many different scenarios.
Yes.
I think everybody that you encounter, and we also sort of are the encounter in terms of meeting people. We don't tend to say, so how are you doing? I'm doing, it's the worst day of my life and everything's gone wrong. And you want to obviously display something of confidence of yourself. I think in any given scenario, people want to sort of give off the best of themselves. So is that a white lie? Is that lying? Is that false perception of oneself?
That confidence that we are promoting, we're wanting people to think something, then immediately that's a mask. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. Having a mask isn't a bad thing. We all wear masks in order to escape shame, the concept of shame. We wear masks in order to belong to a tribe, to a community, to a broader extended family, to a workplace, right? We wear all of these masks. And confidence isn't always that, assertive, commandeering self. In fact, the people who are truly most confident and that truly command a lot more attention are those who speak quietly. You don't necessarily know what's going on behind their words. And a lot of women, for instance, when we get upset, our voice starts to go higher and higher and higher, and you get faster and faster. And yet it's a lot more effective if we drop our voice just a little and ask the question in a different tone. So confrontation is one way to find out if someone is lying. But even in that confrontation, what do you do? So let's role play. Do you want to role play?
Okay.
Okay, so let's role play. Let's pretend that you and I are working completely different environment, different company, and 100,000 Rand has gone missing.
Okay. And I'm the boss. I'm looking for it.
No, in this case, I'll be your boss.
Oh, you're going to be the boss.
I'm going to try to spot if you're lying.
Oh.
So I want to teach you the techniques.
Of what? Capturing a liar.
Capturing a liar.
Okay.
So now you've stolen the money. I don't have all the facts.
This is just a scenario, people. Please, let's just lay it on. They don't go send messages. Hey, boss, I stole my stuff from the thing. Hey.
You know how they can get. Eh?
Hey, people lie. They go put in the paper and everything. Post with the most.
So now.
Okay, so now in office setting, I've been called to the office. There's 100,000 Rand missing. Yes. Are you going to say if I'm the perpetrator or not?
So what are the different ways I could do this?
Okay.
What would you do?
I'd sit and I'll say, okay, what's wrong, ma'am? Or why you call me into the office?
Okay, if you were the boss, how would you have handled it? Firstly,
how are you doing, Rabia? How's your day going?
How are you?
Good. There's been a situation in the office today. I don't know if you're aware, but there was some cash that's been removed from the safe.
Oh, it wasn't me.
I didn't say it was you.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm worried now.
Now I'm suspicious about this behavior.
No. I've been working here for so many years. I would never do that.
Yeah, that's exactly my point, because
how can you even suspect me?
Sure. I mean, do you want me to call the cops now, or you want to get a lawyer? Because you've sort of like confessed indirectly.
Now, have I confessed, or am I just an anxious personality?
You're getting defensive. Yeah.
I might not be getting defensive. I might literally be defending myself because I'm afraid.
Okay.
Because maybe my baggage is such that I've been accused in the past of things I haven't done. And you're interpreting it as the boss as I've done it. What you're wanting to do is you want to get me to confess. So same as a woman, a husband comes home and he's like, where were you? Who was there? What were you doing? Till when were you there? How many people were there? What did you eat? What did you order? Okay, I'm not cooking because you must be hungry. I mean, you must be full. You've already eaten. Sure. All of these things to try.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Sounds like a happy marriage.
It's a lot. But when there is doubt, when there is a sense of being unsafe for any reason, we tend to confront in a way that you demonstrated, the calm, cool, collected way, where you were observing me for defensiveness. But defensiveness might not be a sign of my guilt. It might be something that I'm carrying. In the other example I've given, it's a woman who's a little bit paranoid. Okay. She may have an anxious attachment style, or she actually may be an abuser. And the husband is completely innocent, but she's nackety in the hopes that he's going to break. Now, what's going to be more effective? Because that nackety often doesn't work. Yet we fall into it because we don't have better skills. So let's do the role play again. Now you're the employee, you come into my office and I say, Assalamu alaikum, Sahir, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, yourself, sister.
I'm good, man. It's been a rough period of time here lately. How's your mom and dad doing?
Alhamdulillah, they're good, not too bad.
They're good.
Yours?
Listen, alhamdulillah, good. Alhamdulillah. You know, I heard about the difficulties that you were having, okay, financially, and I just wanted to say, if there's anything that we can do to help you, that would be, please do. The door is open. Come and talk to us, and we'll sort something out financially. Absolutely.
No, shukran. I appreciate it. But what does that have to do with calling me in?
So the reason I'm calling you in, and I'd like you to just think carefully as I ask you this question. We're calling everybody in. Because everybody has a reason why this might happen. And we're not suspecting anyone. We're not blaming anyone at this point in time at all. Stuff just happens.
Right.
And sometimes people get into a bit of a tight spot. And so things go missing in the hopes that they're going to replace it. And then it doesn't happen. It's fine. We can sort it out.
Sure.
So what's happened is we've had some money go missing, right? And it's quite a substantial amount. And because, of course, we expect that no one is going to do this for a bad reason. If anybody were to take the money, it would be for a good reason. They're trying to improve their lives, have got a situation when we're there to help. So
why are you telling me this?
So I just wanted to find out from you, is there any reason why somebody might have said that there is video footage of you going into the office where the money went missing at the time it went missing? Would there be any reason?
So did the video footage show me actually taking the money?
Well, would there be any reason why they would say
I've been working here for how long?
Yes, and we appreciate your work. Absolutely.
So why would I do this now if I have my job to rely on?
Exactly that. You have your job to rely on, and we value you so much. We actually want to come alongside you and say, if this were the case, look, we don't blame you. We're talking to everybody. We don't blame you. So you see what I'm doing there as we are talking initially is I am creating a social connection with you. I'm taking away any potential source of shame associated with what happens. Now, how did you feel throughout that interaction?
What do you mean you take out shame from the equation? What does that mean?
So in other words, if you were to be caught having taken the money, and you're talking to somebody who's blaming you, who's saying, I'm going to call the police and this is what's going to happen. And like you'd said, the money has gone missing. It's a serious situation. And what do we do? That confronting, similar to what that
So you don't attack the person.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not attacking. You're building a social connection with them. And you showing them that had it been them, it's okay. I don't even blame you.
Oh, so you sort of play.
Yes. So this is.
If you take it, it's okay. Just let us know that you took it.
So that we can work out a repayment plan. It's absolutely fine. And in some cases, that may be the case. You can work out a repayment plan. But this is used in investigations. And I learned this because I follow and I've completed a course with this chap who is the most incredible interrogator. And he's well known around the world. His name's Charles Hughes. Okay. And if you're interested in this, listener, go and listen to some of his stuff. And he always says, create that social connection with people first. And interrogations, they do this, even where sometimes it's difficult. So for instance, there's been a case of child abuse or there's been a case of murder. The interrogator may even say something like, look, I don't blame you. She moved your arm there, or she led you on. I mean, of course she led you on. You see the way she dresses. So that takes away from you the sense of responsibility or guilt or shame for what you have done, which creates a connection between us, almost an alliance. And then I'm introducing, is there any reason why someone would have said, now you asked a really good question, is there footage? Most people would not ask that question. Most people would assume if they are guilty that there is some sort of footage.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk more about that. The best way to say it wasn't me. I say, Kassam, it wasn't me. All right, we're going to go for the 4 p.m. news. When we do return, we continue our conversation with Sister Rabia, spotting the liars in our lives. If you have any questions pertaining to our interview, you can message us on 0609041056. Tell us how you feel about this topic of discussions. If you have any contribution that you want to contribute towards this conversation here this afternoon, that same number is very, very simple. And very quickly, if you just join us, I do have a riddle for you. So it's also going to throw that in there before we break for the news. It went something like this. So listen properly. All right. No autosave, no glowing screen, just pen in hand and teenage dreams. I captured hearts and math and law. What held your world behind a door? Do you know what it is? If you do, message us on 0609041056. Stay tuned.
Yeah. You are the one that lightens the load. I always lean on you when life is spinning out of control. I leave my trust in you. He don't need me to worship, but I feel so out of place if I haven't honored my Lord at least 5 times a day. In the name of Allah, I will worship. In the name of Allah, we are free.
Audio stream across the world on radioalansar.co.za.
An informative Islamic global perspective. This is Al Ansar News.
Making news this hour, the 20th of June, the news from Durban, 90.4 FM, Pietermaritzburg, 105.6 FM. Local media says undocumented workers are arrested in Durban, America Munina. KwaZulu-Natal Premier Tamin Tuli visited a business in Durban Central earlier today where undocumented foreign nationals were arrested. A tip-off led the Premier and other officials from the Police, Immigration, Home Affairs Departments to the premises in Durban. They earlier swooped on the premises of a logistics business. There, the workers were rounded up and separated into groups consisting of South Africans and undocumented migrants. Those without valid documentation were led into a police van for processing. The Premier also conducted a quick inspection to assess whether conditions were suitable for workers. More news. President Trump, the Constitutional Court is turning 30. President Ramaphosa delivers the keynote address at the ceremony marking the milestone. Former President Nelson Mandela opened the doors of the highest court in the land in 1995. Its first president was Justice Arthur Chaskalson under then Chief Justice Michael Corbett. Among the first justices on the bench were Richard Goldstein, Pius Langer, and Ismail Mohammed. The court is now headed by the country's first female justice, Mandi Samaya. Earlier today, President Ramaphosa had this to say.
2022-2023 Judiciary Annual Report points to challenges being experienced by the Constitutional Court with respect to finalizing matters against targets. This is no doubt owing to the significant volume of cases that the court has to deal with. The 2013 challenges, or rather changes to the court's jurisdiction, have further contributed to this workload. Enhancing access to justice and improving court services has been allocated in this year's budget. And there have been increases for improving superior court services, for judicial education and support, and for filling of vacant posts and to address other funding shortfalls.
More news now. Members of Parliament have raised concerns over SASSA's new grant verification process, which requires in-person reviews and biometric checks. Parliamentarians say the development will exclude many poor and rural beneficiaries who struggle to access their grants. Treasury has warned it could withhold funds if SASA fails to meet conditions, including income and database checks. With nearly half the population relying on grants, members of parliament have criticized the system for being costly and inaccessible. SASA says it is developing remote verification tools and will submit regular process or progress reports to Parliament. Meanwhile, Vashni Naidu, the KwaZulu-Natal manager for civil rights organization Black Sash, says poor communication from SASA is also a challenge. And finally, international story, massive rallies holds today in cities across Iran following congregational prayers to protest against Israeli-American aggression against the country and express solidarity with the Iranian armed forces. In the capital, Tehran, tens of thousands of people marched from the University of Tehran to the iconic Azadi Tower in western Tehran. Similar demonstrations are also taking place in cities such as Mashhad, Isfahan, Tabriz, Yazid, and Gilan, with participants reaffirming their unwavering support for the country's armed forces. Demonstrators defied threats carrying photos of martyrs and chanting vociferous against the Zionist regime and its Western backers, particularly the United States of America. In your financial indicators, rand to the dollar 17 rands 99, the euro 20 rands 72, British pound is 24 rands 28 cents. In your weather, it's 24 degrees. A quick reminder of our top story: KwaZulu-Natal Premier Tamin Tuli visited a business in Durban Central earlier today where undocumented foreign nationals were arrested. That's the news. We now cross over to Pietermaritzburg.
Making news in Pietermaritzburg on 105.6 FM. A group of volunteers from the Winter Blanket Run delivered over 600 blankets and care packs to informal settlements in Northdale and in Bali earlier today, following this morning's charity ride. Good afternoon, I am Huja Ahmed. The motorbike convoy departed Howick Falls at 8 a.m. and made its way through the Midlands, concluding with a handover ceremony at the YMCA grounds in Pelham. Organizers say that this year's turnout exceeded expectations, with contributions pouring in from schools, businesses, and local residents. Recipients include family living in temporary shelters, elderly individuals, and children identified by the community welfare teams. The campaign has been praised for uniting the city's biking community in service of the most vulnerable during one of the coldest weekends of the year. And in other news, a burst water pipe along Long Market Street has left parts of the city centre without water this afternoon, affecting shops, restaurants, and residential flats. Msunduzi Municipality says repair crews are on site and working to restore supply by late evening. Water tankers have been dispatched to affected zones, including the lower CBD and Langalabeli Street. Residents are urged to use water sparingly and report any additional leaks. The municipality is continuing efforts to upgrade aging infrastructure to reduce the frequency of such outages. Taking a look at temperatures, Pietermaritzburg 3 to a high of 18, Newcastle 2 to a high of 16, and Escort 1 to a high of 13. For Al-Ansar News, this is Huda Ahmed.
The views and opinions expressed by the guest and presenters of Radio Al-Ansar are not necessarily the views and opinions of Radio Al-Ansar and the Al-Ansar Foundation.
Looking to book your next holiday? Make your way to One Stop Travel and Tours. At One Stop Travel, we offer a wide range of holidays at the most competitive prices. Group tours, tailor-made holidays, cruises, transfers, accommodation, travel insurance, and car hire. Visit our website on www.onestoptours.co.za for our current Turkey specials, Mauritius school holiday deals, and Umrah packages. Choose from a multitude of pre-made packages. Visit one of our branches in Overport, Gateway, Musgrave Centre, Fordsburg, Westwood Mall, Pavilion Shopping Centre, Chatsworth, Phoenix, and Cape Town. Contact us today on 0860 109 500. One Stop Travel and Tours, your one-stop travel shop.
This winter, donate to the Out in the Cold appeal and help vulnerable and poor South Africans survive the harsh winter. Your donations can help provide hot meals, blankets, and winter packs to struggling families, ensuring they have the means to keep themselves warm. Donate today at muslimhands.org.za or call us on 021 633 6413 for more information. Muslim Hands, united for the needy.
Celebrate your well-being with us for 1 week only. Enjoy special discounts on our range of natural products at the Al-Ansar shop from the 17th to the 22nd of June. Up to 30% off all health products. Nourish your body and soul with our carefully curated selection of wellness essentials. Visit us today and start your journey to a healthier, happier you at 207 West Road in Overport or call us on 031 208 1601. Don't miss out.
Looking to book your next holiday? Make your way to One Stop Travel and Tours. At One Stop Travel, we offer a wide range of holidays at the most competitive prices. Group tours, tailor-made holidays, cruises, transfers, accommodation, travel insurance, and car hire. Visit our website on www.onestoptours.co.za for our current Turkey specials, Mauritius school holiday deals, and Umrah packages. Choose from a multitude of pre-made packages. Visit one of our branches in Overport, Gateway, Musgrave Centre, Fordsburg, Westwood Mall, Pavilion Shopping Centre, Chatsworth, Phoenix, and Cape Town. Contact us today on 0860 109 500. One Stop Travel and Tours, your one-stop travel shop.
Sponsor an orphan, and you'll help support a vulnerable child to have the education they've always dreamed of, so they can build a brighter future. You'll be feeding a hungry stomach and a hungry mind with knowledge that will last them a lifetime. That's the power of an education. Sponsor an orphan now with Islamic Relief.
Radio Al-Ansar.
All the praise is for Allah, who is the author of all existence and the most generous.
And we're back, finally. There we go. My team lied to me. I'm going to catch them out now. No, alhamdulillah. Thank you so much to all our sponsors of the show and all those adverts. They're going to pay them bills in DDOs. We're back with Sister Rabia Kerval. If you just joined us, you're listening to the social network right here on Radio Al-Ansar, your favorite Islamic KZN radio station, broadcasting live in Durban.
And globally online.
Yes, streaming online, no matter where you are.
Yes, no matter where you are. And we've
You're
got
there.
people joining us online from
International.
all over the world. We're international.
Yes. Over the seas and everywhere.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we created a scenario.
Yeah.
How to spot the knot in a person and how to obviously capture a liar. So you've spoken about the first level.
Yeah.
What's the next factor we need to factor in to spot a person if they're lying or not?
So to recap, if you missed it, we're
Yes, let's
socializing,
recap.
we're creating that connection, and we're saying, we wouldn't blame you if this were the case. And notice how I asked you initially how your family was, and now that I heard about your financial issues. Not that he has any, folks. This is just a scenario, okay?
Now with the liar. The manipulator is trying to manipulate the manipulatee.
And so then we've painted the picture for you that it would be safe. And then we're saying, is there any reason why someone may have told us that you're on CCTV camera as having taken the money? And there's a few ways that you might react. If you were guilty, it might be the point at which you break and say, okay, listen, because now you're comfortable. I've already told you that it's not your fault. I've already told you that you took the money for a good reason. I've already kind of set the scene that we're there to help you, that we could set up a plan to pay it back if it were you. And now I'm going to ask you a follow-up question. If you have not confessed by this point, I'm going to then say to you, when we find the person, whoever that person might be, if we're back in the role play, what do you think should happen to the person? What should we do? What would be your opinion?
My personal opinion.
Yes. What should happen to the thief?
I think it all boils down to, I remember reading an article once where this woman was working for this, in some South American, a small bit like a supermarket. And after 20 years, the boss saw some video footage because prior to that, there was no CCTV footage. And now they finally saw that one of the long-term workers was caught stealing.
Yes.
And when they confronted her, she denied it at first. But then eventually, like you said, they just talked to her decently. And eventually she just snapped out of guilt.
Yes.
And they said, and then the I think it was like a family business, or the wife or one of the sons or one of the kids approached the dad and says, what do we do with her? He says, she's been with us for 20 years. How do we let go of someone like this? But we have to let her go. And then he says, why? But this is the first time she stole from her. I said, no, this is the first time she got caught.
Absolutely.
So that says a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree completely. But the question, though, is in the interview, if you were the thief, pretending you were the thief, and I was to ask you, what do you think should happen when we finally catch the person who took the 100 grand? What is your response likely to be?
What is a person's response likely to be if you find out that the person stole the
in that
money?
same role play.
Yeah.
You're the thief.
Right.
Pretend you are guilty.
Okay, I must pretend like I'm guilty.
Pretend you are guilty. No, don't.
Oh.
He's already confessing.
I got like sweat balls, man. What's going on?
He's like, it was me.
Was me.
Okay. But let's pretend that you're guilty, but you're obviously hiding it, right? Because I'm trying to get the truth out of you.
Okay.
And now I say to you, what do you think should happen to the person that we find is guilty of taking the money?
Well, I think if the person's been here and a very loyal employee after all these years, people make mistakes, Rabia. People make mistakes, and I always believe that people are meant to have second chances.
Yes.
We learn from our mistakes, so we don't repeat it ever again. And for that person who is guilty, and that's not good to be guilty. You must have leniency.
Yes.
You must just
So now, what might your response be if we're in that same meeting, that same interview, but you're innocent, and I say, what should happen to the person who takes 100,000 rand, because it could actually damage our business?
Well, you're the boss, you know better.
Well, you see. Now, he's like, I don't really care.
Wasn't me. I don't care.
Like, I don't care. I'm not sending him to the electric chair, but I don't really mind
but
if you do.
I see the psychology behind the interrogation.
So let's say you've got two kids. Okay, you've got two kids, and one of them has broken the window. And you say to the kids, where were you? No, it wasn't me, it was her. No, it wasn't her, it was him. And now you say to them, okay, so would there be any reason why the neighbor phoned me to tell me who broke the window? Which of you are going to confess first? The innocent one is going to say, hey, it wasn't me, call the neighbor. Let her come and say that in front of you. But the guilty one is immediately going to assume that the truth is out. If they don't assume the truth is out, and you now ask the question to say, what should happen? The guilty one is going to say, Mommy, they should just have a warning maybe. Maybe like a timeout, a 1 hour timeout. Whereas the innocent one is going to be like, take away their phone, ground them for a week, do whatever, because they know they're in the clear. So how can this kind of a thing be applied? It can be applied. Unfortunately, these tools have to be used responsibly, because they can be applied to find out who the liar is, but they are also manipulation tactics of a narcissist meant to brainwash you.
What does that mean?
Because if you're in a situation where an abuser, for instance, is constantly guilting you, constantly making you feel bad, constantly wearing down your resolve, they are going to do exactly that. They're going to try to connect with you. They're going to try to make you feel guilty without directly making you feel guilty by using these tools. That's why I'm being very specific of the sentences that we use so that they can't be used for manipulation, because narcissists confabulate.
What's confabulate?
Confabulate is what Netanyahu does. Start at one point, then, but it wasn't that, but it was them, but you see this, but then that is, and you're going in circles. It's a mixture of gaslighting, projection, defensiveness, triangulating. It wasn't me, it was them. It's
basically a Zionist ideology.
Yeah, and you're talking in circles. Talking in circles. So no matter what you say, they say, okay, you're trying to keep the topic on one thing, but they're now talking about everything else in order to avoid the main
truth.
topic.
Yeah.
So in this,
divert to something else. Yeah.
Correct. Now, psychopaths are harder to trap until they've actually done something. There was a beautiful story. It's beautiful because it's illustrative, but it's not beautiful in itself. And I'll tell you the story. Psychopath goes to the shop. He's at home, first of all, and he decides he's going to go off and buy some chicken. I know, some Nando's, whatever. He's going to go and buy some chicken. And so he goes out at the door, and he goes on the way to buy some chicken. And on the way back, he sees a car hit a pregnant woman. The pregnant woman falls on the ground. it's a gory scene. There's blood pouring out of the woman's head, and the standard-bys are looking at this. And immediately, as you're I'm watching your face. And if you're not watching us on camera, you'll see Zair's like crunched up his face, like, oh no. A psychopath is just going to watch everyone, go home and eat his chicken. And then he's going to look in the mirror and he's going to practice the facial features that he saw or she saw, because they cannot relate to the emotions that they saw.
Oh, so that's what
that's a psychopath.
So they have no sense of emotions or feelings.
No. So therefore, they have no sense of guilt. There's always a justification for them.
Is a psychopath born or is a psychopath made?
There is a it's on a spectrum, definitely. But a diagnosed psychopath is someone that is usually born. Unlike a narcissist that can be made, can be a product of the early upbringing, or even a result of massive abuse. You can become a narcissist because you have to learn the tools that they are using against you in order to defend yourself. So in order to not become the victim again, sometimes people become the perpetrator.
Oof.
So, yeah. So with the psychopath, it's different. Psychopaths have no sense of human empathy, cannot empathize. They'll try to fake it. So if you've seen the TV series Dexter, he goes around murdering
bad people.
Bad people. Yeah, but in his mind, they're just bad people. So he's just murdering them. But he becomes increasingly absorbed in the sense of nothing, no emotional reaction. And then let's talk a little bit also about, in order to understand the concept of lying, the bystander effect, which has never been as prevalent as it is now. We are sitting here on our phones, on our news reports, and we are literally watching a genocide happen. And it's getting to the point where we become so desensitized and so kind of overwhelmed by what we're seeing that we scroll past. Or we live in a high crime society in South Africa. So if you see someone being mugged, you wouldn't typically pull over and try to help unless you are someone who feels very confident that you can do it, because you're afraid that a bullet's going to hit you as well.
Most people put their phones to record the whole thing nowadays.
Yes, they will record it on a phone, but they're not going to intervene. And that bystander effect is one of the reasons why society nowadays is producing more and more psychopaths on a spectrum and more narcissists on a spectrum, because we are becoming desensitized to human suffering. And so we now look at an entire group of people that not only are desensitized to it, but still feel that they are the victims and then can go and attack another country. Okay.
I don't know what. I think that's another term also. That's not even a psychopath. That's another level.
It is. It is a psychopathy there, and there's an entitlement. And so we need to know with these skills how to remain human, how to observe people's masks, that masks are not necessarily a bad thing. So when you're listening to someone on radio, you may listen to my show on Green Thumbs Up, and you may say to yourself, what is Rabia wanting me to think about her? When you listen to Green Thumbs Up, oh, she's funny, she's quirky, she likes to laugh, she loves gardening. All of those things are true, but they're not the entirety of who I am. But that's my Green Thumbs Up mask. That's my Green Thumbs Up persona.
Because imagine your fans of that show listen to you now, like, what is happening here?
Yes, where are the accents, She's not doing any funny jokes.
Oh, no, very serious terms.
Very serious.
Yes.
Is she having us on? Is she pretending now to be someone serious? Is she wearing that mask? It's just a different side of me. But we understand people have masks.
Subhanallah. Now I'll be reading that towards the end. There's some messages coming through from the listeners as well. I think someone has commented that Netanyahu passes the buck on that one. So she's just adding a comment there, what you just mentioned earlier. But we got a few minutes left. So I just want to sort of sum it up when it comes to spotting a liar. What do you do in a situation like that? Especially maybe it's a spouse finally opening up their eyes and seeing that their partner is not who they claim to have been from the get-go, or somewhere along the lines you have a friend or a colleague or someone that's close to you, and then all of a sudden you realize that you've been manipulated by them, being lied to, and they've sort of made you feel like you are the perpetrator, and that guilt has made you feel like maybe I am guilty, Yes. So what does a person do in a situation like that? How do we come out of that?
That is
Snap out of it,
that's
yeah.
such a great question, because most people going through abuse or being faced with manipulation reach that point where they realize this cannot be me. It cannot be my imagination. So the first thing is to honor your feelings, to understand that cognitive dissonance may have kept you blinded for a very long time. The other thing is understand you may never get closure. Sometimes your closure is you walking away, or you acknowledging that, yes, this happened. For instance, they cheated, or maybe they took a second or a third or whatever wife in terms of Islam. So, and you kind of, you suspected, but you weren't sure, but now you know. All of these things, we must understand that we need to honor our feelings and honor how we feel about it. And then we need to act, not react, but respond based on who we are. And the trouble with abuse is often we forget who we are. So by the time that we get to the realization on a very, not a deep cognitive level, but on a face-to-face level, that yes, this person is doing this to me. Yes, this person is abusing or cheating or lying or whatever the case is. We don't know, okay, so what now? Because we don't have the strength to just sever. And maybe severing isn't the answer. But so we do one thing. The first thing is we reconnect with who we are. Accept that our feelings are valid. Accept that the truth is what the truth is, even if you can't accept the truth. Accept that that is the truth, even if it means that you can't accept what the truth is. Then ask yourself, who am I in all of this? Who am I in this lying manipulation with my friend, with my employee, my employer? What do I stand for? And therefore, if I stand for this particular thing, how do I behave in accordance with what I believe without having to burn the entire house down and destroy the other person, because then you become who that person is. So, do I speak my truth? Yes. Is that destroying the person? No. You're speaking your truth. You're entitled to tell your truth. And I encourage you to tell your truth, to tell your story. Because when you are able to pick up lies, when you're able to pick up what went down, your story might be the thing that saves someone else from exactly the same situation. And why we don't tell the story is because of the shame or the guilt or the programming that we've had to say, don't tell people, because it's going to bring shame to the family. It's going to bring shame to, this particular community. And I love the example of ISIS, when ISIS was out there and Muslims were saying, that is not who we are. We acknowledge that that's what they say they are. They say that they are Muslim, that is not Islam. Let's teach you what Islam is about. Now, we see the same thing happening with Jewish people saying, we see what Netanyahu is doing, not in our name. And so you feel who you are, believe who you are, and then respond accordingly. Continue to acknowledge the green flags and the red flags. Try not to destroy the other person's dignity completely. Perhaps if you are telling your story, you don't need to say their name. If people know who they are, well, then they know who they are. But if people don't, then you don't need to say this is who the person is. Let your story be the thing that teaches and leads other people and help other people. Shine that light. You had something beautiful that you read earlier on, right? What was that again?
So Sister Rook sent us a message saying, I will never forget those who came with a lamp when I was in the dark, not to fix me, but just to sit beside me until I could see again. How beautiful is that?
Beautiful. And that's exactly what we're doing here today. We're shining a light and we're saying, this is a light. These are the tools. We're not saying we can fix your situations in your house or in your home or in your relationships or in your family, in your environment. But we're saying these are some tools. Sit with them for a little bit. If you need help, there is additional help available, obviously. But don't be afraid to confront the things that you are afraid of, because you are not a product of what happens to you. You are not that thing that happened to you. You are the person that survived 100% of all those things that could have destroyed you.
And you still see the light at the end of the
And
tunnel.
there you are.
There
Yes.
we go. Jazakallah khair for joining us, Sister Rabia. It's always emotional and very enlightening and very informative, your topics of discussion. I learn a hell of a lot, and I'm sure our listeners also learned a lot from this conversation. So that brings us to the end of the segment. Where can we find you very quickly?
So if you want to find me on the socials, Life Coach Rabia is the way to find me. If you can spell my surname, my website, www.rabiacarvalho.com.
There we go. So Rabia Carvalho, life coach, you can find her on the social media platforms as well at Life Coach Rabia. We got an announcement to read out here. Come and get your Butcher's Best for Less at Checkers Foods Cowie Park. Mutton packs and mutton curry pieces for $109.99 per kg. Chicken mince for only $69.99 per kilo. We've also got your half lamb, $109.99 per kg. Chicken breast fillets for just $69.99 per kg. And then we also have lamb curry pieces, $119.99 per kilo. Lamb packs for just $129.99 per kg. And mutton danya or Punjab sausages for just $119.99 per kilo. Deals valid until Sunday, June 22nd, only at Checkers Foods Cowie Park. Butchery, bakery, and deli certified by the NIHT. There we go. And we got messages coming through from Sister Lutfia all the way from Verulam, and she'd like to extend her condolences to the family and work colleagues of the late Marhuma Safura Khan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant her family sabr and give her the highest abode in Jannatul Firdaus. Ameen. Ya Rabbal Alameen. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And some people are asking about the riddle. And Brother Yusuf Basa says, Salams and Jum Mubarak, Brother Zahir. Same to you, brother. Hope you're doing well, Brother Yusuf. Haven't heard from you in a very, very long time. But let's see what your riddle was here this afternoon. It went something like this. No autosave, no glowing screen, just pen in hand and teenage dreams. I captured hearts in math and law. What held your world behind a door? Do you remember those ones? When you go under the bed and you pull out a little book and just write all your notes in there. It's the notebook, so it's a secret journal. There we go. First person to answer it correct is Sister Halima. Well done to you, sister. Sister Razia Ismail comes in second place. She says files. I can accept that one. Sister Rukeya sends a beautiful message. And there's also another one that answered the riddle here today. And that person's name is Nasiha. Well done to you, sister. And lastly, Sister Rukeya with her message. I have to read it. May the kindness in your heart continue to leave a lasting impression to those dear to you. And may the uniqueness of your character give contentment to your soul. May you always be blessed with afia. Ameen. On this holy day of Jummah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mend everyone's hurts in silence and bless us with silent miracles that we not ask for. Ya Rabbal Alameen. For myself, Brother Zahir, a big thanks to all Sister Rabia's fans also watching on our TikTok live, and to Sister Rabia for joining us. Brother Ted, Brother Wasim, Brother Azam, as well as Sister Rebecca, the team, as well as Brother Muhammad Yaz, our content producer. Thank you so much, our wonderful listeners. Up next is the afternoon jam with Brother Ted, Sister Amina, and Brother Fahim taking up to 6 p.m. and thereafter, Brother Siraj Basa takes over with straight talk all the way to 7 p.m. For myself, Brother Zahir, and the team, have a great and fantastic weekend. Look after yourself as well as one another. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi
Wa barakatuh.
There we go.
Radio Alan